What's up, everybody? My name's Sai.
I'm JK.
And we're going to be here for the ATF People's Pick Show. Stay tuned for mayhem. All right, yes, we're back. I'm Sai, this is JK, and we are here to break down the UFC 275 Glover Teixeira versus Jiri Prochazka. An absolute dog of a fight. Look, we're really excited over here to really get into it. Is it actually looking like a pretty exciting card? I mean, and I say this pretty much every week, but we've got stacked from the third fight on the card to the fourth fight on the card. I mean, I don't know what I'm most excited to see. What about you, Jacob? What are you most excited to see?
Well, to be honest, I'm most looking forward to seeing Weili Zhang taking on Joanna Jędrzejczyk purely because that first fight was absolute fire. However, I'm not sure whether that fight's going to live up to the first one. So personally, the one that I'm most looking forward to and most intrigued about, I think, is going to be the main event, of course. It's probably quite the most obvious option. I'm excited to see Manel Kape back again. He's got 2 straight wins now, so... yeah, I think there's plenty of excitement on this card, that's for sure. And
they got a tough week to follow. I mean, last week I did miss that card. Unfortunately, I was out in the town, but you guys caught it, and it was a knockout after knockout. So they got a real tough week to follow in terms of performance-wise. Well, look, without any further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into the breakdown. The story of how this event goes, and you know, some of you guys are familiar with it already. We're going to go from the first fight on the card all the way up to the end, and we're going to be talking about a full breakdown with your picks woven in between as well. So this show's not about telling you what to think, but teaching you how to think. So first up on the card, we've got Jack and Ramazan. Do you want to introduce the fighters, JK?
Jack Della Maddalena versus Ramazan Emeev. And you've got Jack Della Maddalena. See, it's a bit of a tongue twister now.
Yeah, it is. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah. He's 11-2 as a professional, whereas you've got Ramazan Emeev is currently 20-5. So Ramazan's got the most experience out of the 2 fighters so far. But how their styles match up, that's going to be the most important thing looking at this fight. So far, you've got, at the moment, the slight reach advantage for Emeev. That's 3 inches, but not too much in it, really, with that. And then later on, you've got there's not much really numbers-wise for Jack Della Maddalena because he's only had 2 fights in the UFC.
He has.
As of that so far.
But he's a prospect stepping in. I mean, the sort of hype about him and the way he performed in his Dana White Contender Series fight, I think was probably one of his toughest challenges as of late, that Dana White Contenders fight. I mean, his first fight in UFC, he performed so well. He made that look easy. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, and he did in his second one as well, to be fair. You know, he got the knockdown in that fight as well. Against Jack Rodriguez. And, you know, I think this one's going to be his toughest test to date, without a doubt.
Yeah, 100%. Let's have a look what the people had to say about this. So we've got one pick lined up for this one. So let's see what that had looked like.
Hello, ATF crew. Hope you guys are doing good. These are my fight picks for UFC 275. Starting off with the first fight on the main card, we have Jack Della Maddalena versus Ramazan Emeev. Maddalena's from Australia. Emeev is from Russia. The odds are fairly even on this one. However, I do think Maddalena has the possibility of getting the win. I'm going to go with him. I do have it via decision, but there is a possibility I think he could get a knockout, though Emeev does have much more experience, so that is yet to be seen.
Nice. Strong pick there from Taylor Simmons. Thanks for sending it in, Tay. And his socials are there if you want to follow him and see what he's all about on Twitter. Chiming in on Twitter, speaking of which, Ash asked a question earlier in the week who people had thought was going to be taking this fight, and just some pothead chimed in saying Jack Della Maddalena, and with a very severely convincing face as well. So let that be the story there. I mean, what about you? How do you think Maddalena is going to do it? I mean, he's a prospect coming in. He's got an insane streak running at the moment. Why is people so convinced that he's going to do it over Emeev?
I think it's just purely because of his striking aspects, really, just how slick he is on the feet, his ability to switch stances. He puts a lot of pressure on people, and he's a really good boxer. Against Emeev, though, a little bit different. I think he's going to need to be a bit more patient on the feet this time around compared to his previous outings, because Emeev's got that takedown ability, and he's going to be threatening it throughout the fight, no doubt. Let's take a look at the gauge then. Is, the striking, the grappling, the power, the speed, and the cardio. Which person takes the edge out of each category? Now, for me, striking-wise is going to go for Jack, for sure. His boxing ability is phenomenal. I think Emeev's got some pretty good kicks in his arsenal to the body. But majority of his strikes are there to kind of close the distance, draw you in, and get the takedown, which then leads on to the grappling aspects, which I think is going to be a bit of a toss-up, really. I think the strength early on for Maddalena, he might be able to get out of those exchanges against Emeev. But I think we've got to go for Emeev on the grappling, just purely because of what he's been able to do to opponents in the past. Power-wise,
that's Sambo-style fighting.
It's Sambo style.
And that's what's going to be his biggest weapon here against someone like Jack. But he has resisted. He's rolled on the ground before Jack. He can hold his own down there. He knows how to get back to his feet.
Yeah,
it's going to be on Emeev to keep the fight grounded for as long as possible, I think, in order to sort of have the advantage in this one for sure.
Yeah, we have seen, I think, Jack getting taken down recently against I might be saying this name wrong, Ang Lusa. But I don't think Ang had a lot of success in that. Was his contender series fight. I don't think he was able to control Jack for too much longer down there. And Jack was really good at getting back to his feet in that fight.
So it wasn't that Sambo style, really?
Yeah, complete different style of wrestler this time out. So it's going to be intriguing.
What about power? Who gets that?
Oh man, overall punching power, I think it's going to go to Jack all day.
I would too. Yep.
I don't think Emeev throws with too much venom in the strikes. He's got okay power, but you look at his resume and the guys that he's kind of knocked out in the UFC. Mm-hmm. Well, he hasn't. He's all gone decision. So, I think for that reason alone, we can pretty much stick with Jack going in for power.
Yeah, no, agreed. And then what about speed?
Speed's a tough one as well. I'd probably go for Jack. I think he's a lot more sharper on the feet. He's a little bit more quicker. Whereas Emeev's got that flat-footed style, really. He just plods forward. He's not really one to kind of move side to side, create angles and things like that. So I think I'd give Jack the
smart.
Speed.
Yeah, I agree on that one. But in terms of cardio, I think this one I'd have to throw Emeev's way. Would you agree? Yeah,
I think just purely because we've seen him go 3 rounds a lot of the times. We haven't had that much data on Jack alone. So I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, Jack does a lot of finishes, and Emeev's, as you've seen, decision. He likes to go the distance in his fights because he's got a bit more of a strategy, and he rolls out that strategy effectively. And a lot of time it does involve getting the takedowns.
Yeah, I mean, he lost his last outing against Danny Roberts, and Danny Roberts I think put up a good fight against Emeev. Danny Roberts didn't really outstrike Emeev. Emeev had more shots landed, but Danny Roberts really made it count and was a bit more effective in the striking. Emeev did have, it was a bit of a toss-up decision. It was really close. You've had Emeev with overall control time about 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Oh no, sorry, that was Danny Roberts. Emeev was 2 minutes and 57 seconds. When you look at it per round, it was only sort of a minute that he had Danny Roberts in control. It wasn't really enough to secure this decision in the judges' eyes. So that's pretty much it went to effective striking alone for Danny Roberts.
Yeah.
And it's not looking great for Emeev going in against someone like Jack Della, in my opinion.
Yeah, and look, the odds match up in Maddalena's favor as well. The odds say that he's going to be a minus 150 favorite to Emeev, who's going to be a plus 130 underdog there. So, but let's have a look who's next up on the card.
Rogério Bontorin against Manel Kape. Yeah. Phenomenal fight. Both guys are ranked, right?
So we've got rank 14 and rank 5. Bontorin?
Yeah, Bontorin is
8.
8 and Manel Kape is number 14.
14,
so bit of a jump for Manel Kape if he's to get the win there.
It is. It's great to see him in the top 15. It really is. Star boy. He came into the UFC with a lot of promise, didn't he?
Yeah,
a lot of promise, and he did fall across some hard times initially, losing his 2 first bouts, but he really that second one was a split decision. and he really wanted to. And he came straight back in after that loss against Pantoja, didn't he?
Yeah. Wasted no time.
Absolutely wasted no time. Which shows that
Nicolau
Pantoja didn't get too much damage on him. And, I often would think, and I often would think that for someone to come into the UFC and then get paired with Pantoja as their first fight, you got to have high hopes for a guy like that.
Oh, for sure. The UFC brass, I think, knew what they were getting into with Manel Kape. But both guys, though, record-wise, very similar in terms of experience. You got 17-4 for Rogério Bontorin with 1 no contest, and you got 17-6 for Manel Kape. Other than that, both guys pretty much the same height. Only 1 inch reach advantage for Manel Kape, so not really much in that. But the leg reach is where Manel Kape has the most there, with 39 inches over 35.5 for Rogério Bontorin.
Absolutely. Look, quite an interesting style matchup. We've got someone with power, and we talk about it quite a lot with Bontorin, doesn't he? He cuts a lot to get into this weight class, and
he does,
and he carries a lot of that natural power with him as well. So he's going to be the heavier guy going into the matchup. Let's have a look at what the people have to say about this matchup, and then we'll come right back with an analysis and breakdown.
Moving on to the second fight, we have former Ryzen, I believe it would be bantamweight over here, but former Ryzen flyweight champion Manel Kape from Portugal. He's doing quite well. He's quite a huge favorite on this one. I have him winning via knockout. I think it'll probably be the second round. I think Rodrigo can take him there.
Nice one, Tay. Really appreciate those opinions on that one as well. But he's gone with Kape for this one to win. On the Twitter, we've asked the same question, and we've got there AJ who's chimed in, and he said Kape, and then Bontorin gets cut, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
he's the end of days for someone like Bontorin.
He is. I mean, Bontorin has, he lost his last one against Brandon Royval. The one before that, he actually won, but then it was scratched off due to a no contest. It was overturned because he tested positive for some kind of substance, which is way too long for me to pronounce. But which is quite unfortunate. But then if you look at who he's lost to before that, Kai France, who's fighting for an interim belt next, and then before that it was Ray Borg. So he's kind of scratching the surface, very desperate for a win. These are tough competitors that he's lost to. So maybe AJ could be right, but I think it'd be quite harsh to cut him. He's had
a tough run, but he's not won in the last 4 bouts, as we've seen clearly there. So I would love to see another one from him. And if
he's had a good win against.
He's what, number 8? He's still
number 8, which is good. Obviously, good position. Yeah. He's had a good win against Julian Paiva in the past. Gustavo Gabriel as well was his UFC debut. So I think we were still yet to see.
Yeah, at least letting him see out some time as a gatekeeper for the top 15. And do his time there before we cut him entirely. We still got some use for him, I think. But Bontorin subs round 1, and that's a controversial opinion, I guess, or just the alternative opinion from Yonon Olives. I'm trying my best with names here, but that's harder than UFC
fighting Twitter names, man. You're crazy.
Yeah, for sure. But Bontorin sub round 1, he says. So that's ultimately that's something different. So he thinks that he can get a fight to the ground. And how would you see it playing out? Do you reckon that it will be a standing bout or something that goes to the ground?
I think that personally, I think Bontorin's got a good chance of getting it to the ground. Of course, but I think he needs to be a bit more flamboyant with his striking this time around, and I think he needs to be a bit more. Committing. Yeah. It's a completely different style of striker that he's fighting this time around. Against Brandon Royval, he was against a guy who's going to come forward, be in your face the whole time and apply pressure. Manel Kape's not that type of striker. He's a bit more stay on the outside, wait for you to commit, get his reads, set traps, and then follow up with strikes of his own. Yeah. As you can see at the moment, that's the stats, which are obviously majority in favor of Manel Kape. He's landing more per minute than Bontorin. And he's also absorbed per minute as well, which is very bizarre.
He's got most of his... for that reason, I think he does a lot of his bouts standing up, prefers it. Bontorin has that ground game.
Yeah, I guess he's
element,
taking it
so
more in the
if you got more of a ground game sort of style of fighting, then you're going to be absorbing less, not being sort of toe-to-toe with your opponent. And... I think, on that point, it's just going to be a case of, do you reckon he can get to the ground? And look at the grappling numbers here, like 2.9 to Kape's 0.77. The chances are very much in the favor of someone like, Bontorin being able to get to the ground. But then when you look at takedown defense, Kape's done well enough to get an 80%. That's strong.
I know.
That's quite strong.
I know. I think even Pantoja struggled to get Kape down in their bout. And, looking at the numbers now, Kape actually scored 2 takedowns on Pantoja. Mm-hmm. So, it just says it all about Manel Kape. He's going to be difficult to take down.
One more on that point on striking as well, just going back up to that page. It's like the output you can see there for someone like Kape is huge. It's almost double in terms of what you can expect from Bontorin. But Bontorin's more that style of fighter who does wait for the right opportunity before he bangs. He's got that power ability to him, so he doesn't have to have high output. But then Kape, I've seen 2 types of Kape in my time. Kape's been someone who's come out quite fast and hard, got you razzled, I guess, a little bit with his fast hands, and then gets you biting on some of his feints throughout.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be, I reckon it's going to be a question of whether Kape can make Bontorin freeze because his feints, by feinting so often.
Yeah.
And if he can do that, then he can have the striking output again on this one.
Well, to be honest, watching the Royval versus Bontorin fight, I think Royval had Bontorin freezing up a few times on the striking, and he bit loads of times on Royval's feints. Now, of course, Royval was straight up in the pocket in that fight.
Wasn't that a split though, right?
It was a split decision. Yeah, arguably he did win rounds for sure.
Yep.
But I think Royval just came out on top in the end. In the third round.
He did only just about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a bit of that grit to his fight game, doesn't he? Let's have a look at those gauges, I guess, and just see how exactly that would match up. I wish grit was one of the things we could measure here, but it's not. Striking. Would we go happy to go Kape on that?
Yeah, I would happily go Kape on that. I just think purely because he's got, I think, better fight IQ overall in the striking than Bontorin.
True. And
Bontorin's all got the power, which we could easily give that to him. I think that would probably favor him. Kind of a little bit difficult one though as well, because Kape's quite explosive at the same time as well. The flying knee that he landed on Ode Osborne was spectacular.
Right.
He was very quick on that. So perhaps I'd probably give speed to Manel for that reason. I just think he's going to be a little bit more flowy on the feet. He's going to be a lot quicker.
Can we go
grappling wise, I think it's going to be Bontorin.
Yeah.
Safe to say for now.
Yeah.
If I look at Manel Kape, he's got 5 submissions on his resume as well, which isn't too bad. I think he had some submissions outside the UFC.
Have like 11?
Yeah, Bontorin's got like crazy amount of submissions. In the UFC, though, he's only got 1 sub, and that was his debut. But overall, he's got 11. So,
but it's going to be down to cardio now because there's 2 apiece right now. Who's going to really come out on top with cardio, do you reckon?
Personally, I kind of want to give it to Manel Kape purely because I think he manages his weight a little bit better than Bontorin. Bontorin missed weight again, 2 fights against Matt Schnell.
Cardio for Kape.
I think I'll go Kape.
Looking at how that matches up, it does edge towards Kape coming out on top. And if I was to make a pick on this fight card personally myself, and there's other elements that come into it like grit and, heart. And, we can't measure those sort of things. And sometimes it's, styles makes fights ultimately. But from what these things look like here, the MMA mass points to Kape, and I would go Kape too. Personally.
Yeah, I think Kape's going to be a little bit more clinical in there. I'm hoping that he doesn't overcommit and resort to takedowns from Bontorin, because I think Bontorin's explosive enough to get it to the ground. But, it's whether or not he can actually do much and be more effective down there this time around.
Next fight up, we are talking about this badass looking little thing. And it's the second one back. It's the second one back.
It is.
Introduce us, JK.
We're running it back, exactly. Weili Zhang coming back after 2 back-to-back losses against Rose Namajunas. She's currently 21-3 and taking on the former champion, the strawweight queen, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who is currently 16-4 as a professional. Overall, razor close, not much in it in terms of reach. 2.5 in advantage of Joanna. Leg reach, not much of a difference there between the two, just an inch between them both, with Weili taking that one. But yeah, very, very, very close.
Yeah, I agree on that as well. And this was the best fight of last year. I mean, we spoke about this at the very beginning.
2020, wasn't it?
2020, sorry, not last year. But I mean, we can say it is the best female fight we've seen to date, even. But reality is, like, it was so much output, so much striking, so much aggressiveness, and there's so little game planning and strategy. It was just so sick to watch. It was amazing. We loved it, and the fans and the crowd went absolutely wild for it.
Yeah, and I put it in my top 5 most entertaining fights of all time as well.
Yeah, of course.
It was that good. So that was way back. Do check that video out if you haven't done so already. You can find it in the playlist section of our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
This
time round, would it be this? I mean, look, Joanna's gone off modeling, right? She's probably going to want to protect her newfound asset. More so than the first time round. So I reckon she's going to be a little too scared to get into exchanges with Zhang the same way she did the first time out.
I don't know. Joanna's always game. She's always very competitive. And, she's apparently been promised a title fight if she gets past Weili Zhang this time around. So, there's that. But, being away for so long, in my opinion, it felt like she had 2 feet out of the door. And now she's come back and she's put 1 foot out the door. Looking at the Embedded series, She looks game. She looks like she's, settling in back to fight week again. She's embracing it. So, I don't know. It's very difficult. It's hard to tell.
It is. Shall we see what the people had to say about it?
Yeah,
because we had some really interesting picks here. In fact, we had a few UFC fighters themselves chime in on this particular one. So stay tuned and we'll show you what it's all about.
Move on to the rematch of Weili Zhang versus Joanna and Jędrzejczyk.
Are they doing this 5 rounds after all?
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if it is 5 rounds, but
I thought somebody was saying on in the Twitter sphere that they were going to do 5 rounds.
I heard something about that as well. But if it's 5 rounds, oof.
That would be something, wouldn't it? I mean, I would love to see this go 5 rounds, just because of what we got the first time round.
Yeah.
But 5 rounds, that would be insane. However,
who takes it?
But I don't know if my pick would change for 5 rounds.
Okay.
I think I'm picking Weili in this one again. I think only because I have like a little fighter crush on Weili. I think she's dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Andy,
That's correct. Like, obviously, Weili's coming off 2 losses now as well, so she kind of needs a win.
Yeah.
And obviously,
Joanna's
been away for so long as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joanna's been away since they fought, right?
Yeah.
That's wild. Man, I hope it's just as good as that. I watched that first fight live in the arena, and that was insane. Wow. And then poor Adesanya and Romero had to fight right after that.
Really tough act to follow.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another quick pick prediction for Against the Fence. So I want to move swiftly up the card and talk about a fight that there's a lot of discussion on Twitter around in the moment, and that's Joanna and Jędrzejczyk and Weili Zhang. So look, a lot of people ask me, how do I pick these women's fights? And I suppose there's a lot of work goes into it, guys. I do a lot of watching tape. I look at the fighters. I look at their qualities. I look at I look at their history. I do a bit of wiki capping. I do it all. And what I usually end up with is I get these little cue cards, and I put their names on them, as you can see there. That's Weili Zhang, and then I have Joanna JJ. You can see there, right? And what I do with these cue cards then is I put them in here into the cup of truth. Okay. I put the top on, nice and secure. Make sure there's no one can see. I can't see in. Look, give it a good shake, right? And then okay, okay. So, and there you go. The winner of this fight is going to be Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and because I actually pulled the Mickey Mouse head off the cup of truth, I'd say she takes her head off in the 3rd round. Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Love that guy. I do.
Interesting theory from Ben. That's apparently the secret on how he picks a fight. So there, you've seen it there.
We've got the People's Big Show, and then he's got his own little thing going on. Who knows what goes on in his head? But I would love to spend a day in it.
Yeah, more to come from Ben.
A hell of a yeah. Stay tuned. This guy's
Stay
great.
tuned for that for sure.
And of course, we had Vince Morales there too. And you know, big shout out again to Vince. Thanks for coming onto the channel. We had a great chance sitting down with you and going through some of a bit about your history and got into understanding you as a fighter inside and outside the octagon. So if you haven't seen that yet, go back through the archives, watch the tape, as some may say. And that'll be in our fighter Q&A series on YouTube. Back to where we're at. You know, I think a lot of, you know, we had Zhang and we had JJ, so it's been divided
we got one more in that's just come in from Chris. He said he's going for Joanna in this.
Okay.
He unfortunately was unable to get his video to us in time, but he's literally just messaged me, so we'll add his to the mix as well. He's going Joanna. Very difficult. You know,
so what do you think?
To take it this time.
Do you reckon
around?
that carrot that Dana dangled at the end of the string here, you know, the title shot? Do you think that is what's going to drive her in this fight?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the reason why she's come back. I don't think she was coming back anyway. If it wasn't for a title fight eventually. I think she's being a bit stubborn with the UFC. Absolutely. I think she's found other means of gaining money at the same time. So, I really wanted her to fight Marina Rodriguez. I thought that fight last year would have made more sense. But, again, she's going to run it back with Weili. So be it. And we'll see what happens.
Do you know what? I was really gutted when Esparza took the belt from Rose, but so much more exciting things can now happen.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, I love Joanna. I love watching Joanna. I think she's really entertaining, you know, whether it be in the octagon and outside the octagon as well. Would I love her to get a title fight again? Absolutely. You know, she's had numerous title fights as of recent, and she only sticks around for title fights. A bit stubborn like Colby Covington in a way. So, yeah, I'd really excited. I'll be rooting for her for sure, but whether my pick is Joanna is another thing. Yeah,
that's it. And look at some of the numbers here, right? In terms of striking wise, Joanna, she has a lot of output, and I think Weili Zhang. I was talking to you earlier in the week about this, wasn't I? I was saying Weili Zhang looked incredibly menacing in that fight against JJ, and that was the toughest I've seen. That was the scariest I've seen Zhang. I haven't seen her any scarier than that since. Since then, she's taken a few more things to her game. She's sort of expanded her skill set a little bit more. But, you know, I would love to see that back again. That sort of same animosity that she had in the octagon against JJ that time. Just bring that back for 3 rounds would be a treat.
Well, I think Joanna is the type of person to bring that fight out of her.
Great.
Dog, to be honest.
Great.
Because of her volume.
Love it. And I think if you look at the numbers here, who's going to have the advantage in the stand-up? It's going to look much like the same one. They're going to cancel. It's going to be a firefight in the stand-up if they keep it to that way. But here's something we want to look at, right? We've had Zhang bring Henry Cejudo into her camp. So this could potentially be looking a bit more grounded in some elements as well, in terms of finding the edge in it.
Potentially, yes, because the first fight, Weili did score 1 takedown on Joanna. That was it. But I think there wasn't really that many attempts anyway. Since then, like in the last fight against Rose, she scored 5 takedowns against Rose. Wow. And I believe it was more takedowns she landed on Rose than Carla landed on Rose.
I mean, they barely touched each other that entire fight anyway.
I know. But still, it's a good stat to have nonetheless. And I think that coming to the fight this time around, Weili's going to have more tools and Joanna's going to have more things to think about. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to get the gauges on this particular one then, because I think that something interesting can happen here. So, for example, what would probably let's get to striking last. But let's start with something like speed and power, right?
And I'd probably give speed to Joanna.
Yeah,
I think she's a lot quicker on the feet, and her volume kind of is detriment to that as well.
And can we say Zhang gets power?
Yeah. With that, I think that's pretty much self-explanatory.
And then when we get to grappling, based on recent efforts, I'm gonna have to go Zhang. And then look at the numbers. You know, it doesn't make sense going with JJ on that at all either.
Yeah, and I mean, not only that, Weili's got 7 submissions on her resume as well.
Okay.
And whereas Joanna, I'm pretty sure Joanna has not submitted anyone.
I mean, average is 0.06.
Yeah, like I'm sure she's had one submission. That was very early on. That was her second pro fight.
Yeah.
So
don't count on it.
Yeah.
And then cardio. This is tough as well. It's tough as striking, this one, really.
It is. It really is.
I kind of want to give them both. I want to give them both cardio. And I want to give them both striking.
Because you've got, on one hand, you've got Joanna throws way more output and her cardio is quite consistent.
Yeah.
Whereas at the same time, you've got, when you look back at that last fight, Weili was kind of looking strong in that fifth round. It's just very hard to call. It's hard to put.
If we did this, would it be terrible?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways.
But even still, it shows that they're evenly matched in many ways. And where there's speed, there's power on the other hand. But it almost puts it down to grappling being the divider. Like if you throw a takedown into the mix, you can edge it potentially.
Yeah, no, for sure. And when you look at the stats, okay, you take effectiveness out of this. When you look at the stats of their last fight, 3 rounds, they both scored the same number of strikes. Now, of course, strikes thrown was completely different, but landed significantly, I believe, is exactly the same.
Wow.
I don't think Weili is training with Henry Cejudo full time. Recently, I think this training camp she's actually gone to Thailand for.
So she's not with Henry now?
So I don't know, she might go back to Henry, but I think she probably stuck with Henry for those Rose fights, and I think it was a pretty good option anyway. Even though she did lose both, but still, against Joanna, I think going to Thailand was a really good option. And it's purely because what she said in the Embedded series, it was to adjust to the climate of Singapore. So she decided to take the camp to Thailand for those reasons.
Right. Fair. All right. We could be here forever. We could be here all day with this. But come on, let's say it now. Who are you going to go with on this one?
I'm going for Weili. I think she's got more tools to win in this time around. And like I said, Joanna's got one foot in the door. Yeah,
I've got to go Weili as well. But mainly because ring rust. I know people are going to shoot me down for saying it. But, we got someone like JJ who's been out for a while. You just don't know what to expect. My biggest question, and one thing I've been really tossing and turning about is Weili looked badass back in 2020. And since then, I just don't think she's brought that same animosity into the octagon. Different skills, but not that same animosity. The belt on the line, JJ, could that bring it out of her? Sick. I'd love to see it.
But then not only that, I think we've seen the same JJ for a lot of time. We
haven't seen JJ full stop.
No, we've seen the same JJ.
Oh,
I'm saying for quite some time now, and we haven't seen anything new from her. Shevchenko versus Santos. Man. One side you've got Valentina Shevchenko 22-3, it was professional. Then you've got Taila Santos who's 19-1. Valentina's had numerous bouts in the UFC at the highest of the game. Been at bantamweight before as well. Not much in it in terms of reach. 1 inches for Santos according to this. Leg reach.
It's important to say according
to this, isn't it? It's not much there either. Not
always right, UFC.
I know. So
according to this,
we got it there anyway. But yeah.
But yeah, look, and a lot of people, when we asked in the picks, and we're going to get into it in just a second, they got to go with who's the queen, right? I mean, one thing I had to chuck in there and ask as well is just, she's just miles above the division. That being said, that's just fact and no one else can deny it. Who else from this division could we spit at Valentina to challenge her? And I think the answer, time and time again, would be Taila
Santos. I mean, here's the thing: what Taila needs to do is she needs to get into Shevchenko's face early, because Shevchenko likes to kind of take round 1 to really download data on her opponent.
Oh, let's get into the people's picks. But then,
all right,
tell us what she needs to do.
I'm getting excited.
Yeah. Hold your horses. Let's have a look. For sure is. Let's have a look at what's on the co-main then. So we've got Valentina Shevchenko, as we learned earlier today, I didn't learn, but we always knew. Goes by the bullet. And then Taila Santos. How do you think that was going to go? And who do you reckon is going to take it?
I got to go with the queen, man. I don't see Valentina's she's just very refined in all aspects, and it seems like it's very hard for anybody to find any hole or any route that they can take it where they have a clear edge. This one being a little bit different with Taila, because she can crack, and she's right. She's going to probably be right in her face. But I don't know if she'll be able to set up the movement and just the overall shot to hurt Valentina. She moves well. She's always aware. Her distance management is money. I got to go with Valentina.
Yeah, Shevchenko. Yeah, I mean, there's no question.
100%.
That woman, she's a beast. She's got some solid ass legs too, man. She's gonna be tough for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And what's your thoughts on Taila Santos? Is there anyone else worthy for this fight against Shevchenko, or are you right to say that?
I don't. I mean, no. I think that it's a good matchup. I think it makes sense. I think that the matchup makes sense. I think that the women just got to keep coming through and keep testing her in different ways, and then eventually someone will find a hole that they can take advantage of. But she's tough, man. She's well-rounded and she's tough.
Nice, man. Solid opinions there. And again, that's Damon B. Jackson. Hit him up on the socials right there. And also you got Vince Morales. His socials were in the corner of the screen as well. 135 Vendetta 135. But look, honestly, they've all gone with the Queen. They've all gone with Shevchenko for it. But you know that Damon thinks that this fight makes sense. On socials, we've got here Isa. And I'm really going to test my eyesight with this one. But he says, these women need to stop thinking that there's a strategy that will make them beat Valentina, especially the old take her down to the ground. It won't work. If and BJJ, black belt, got beat up on the ground by Valentina, I can't imagine what she's going to do to Taila, a blue belt.
Yeah, it's very, very, very solid points there. And you kind of got to agree as well. You know, when you look at Taila Santos, she's only had 3 submissions in the past. All right, she's got 10 devastating knockouts. You probably like fancy Talia's chances on the feet if she was going to win. You know, if she was to get the win, it would be by a knockout. You know, she's got devastating power for sure.
And look, this is what Damon was saying, right? These girls just got to keep coming through and keep finding different ways to test her. So in what way do you think Taila will be testing Shevchenko on the weekend?
Well, like I said in a second ago, she needs to just get in her face, really. Make Shevchenko uncomfortable. Don't let her, you know, step back, relax, get the reads kind of thing. Just go in for it, man. I mean, I guess it kind of worked in a way for Juliana Pena. You know, she stuck in with Amanda Nunes and wasn't fazed by Amanda Nunes's best strength. So yeah, I guess she's got to do the same and use her long range weapons.
Could this be another scenario where we all see Amanda Nunes winning and then Juliana Pena just does something and that none of us expected?
Like I said before, I think Taila Santos is the one to upset the apple cart with this. And it probably would take a fight where Valentina is maybe not, it's just not her day, you know? She's not kind of just feeling it anymore, you know? But at the same time, I look at Valentina and I just don't see that still, you know? She's so competitive. She's still game at this level, you know? She's making her 7th title defense this time around, you know? You know, interesting stat on Valentina. She's, I think, beaten 4 previous and current fight champions.
That is. And you know what? The more I look at these numbers, the more I'm actually liking the chances for it. Like, honestly, the TKOs, that's 53% to Shevchenko's 39%. Subs, that's 16 to 30, that's half of. But decision-wise, it's pretty much bang on exactly the same. And average fight time, that's not too far off. What, give it 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, and she's genuinely an absolute... She's almost matching Shevchenko on most of the numbers we look down there. Fit for fit. So this could be more interesting than I thought personally. But yeah, it's going to be quite really exciting. It's tough to do this, actually. It is really tough. Striking advantage. You know, if we looked at what the numbers were telling us here on this side, it's like...
I think power, I'd want to go with Taila in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I think overall striking, you've just got to give it to Shevchenko, who's...
got more weapons.
She's got more weapons. I think she's way more experienced in that department anyway. A bit more advanced.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of makes sense.
It does make sense. Grappling wise, now we've seen what Shevchenko's been able to do against other girls on the ground. for me, again, I just think that when you look at MMA, we talked about it just the other day, right? It's not just about being able to do such wonderful things with your hands. It's about being all-rounded in an aspect. And I feel like Shevchenko is someone who's rounded in that way, and grappling I'll give to her as well. Speed. What's the ages of these two?
Oh, man. To be honest, I kind of want to go speed for Shevchenko as well. I just think she moves a lot quicker on the feet. Yeah, I think she's just overall a lot quicker than Taila, personally.
Cardio. I mean, she's been in more 5-round wars.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. And look, yeah, it's a complete landslide almost.
Yeah. Although the numbers suggest that it's fairly even.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind when we say speed, when we say cardio, or even grappling and speed and striking, perhaps we're just edging it. It's just edging it slightly, and it can't really show too much here on this particular type of gauge, and it doesn't sort of outrule Taila Santos's abilities. She is an insane striker. 100%. She's got some amazing hand speed. Just not as fast as what we've seen Shevchenko being able to do in the past, and against the level of fighter as well. Okay, we're going to get into the next one.
Yeah.
Let's see who's up next. We have the big boys at light heavyweight.
Glover, the Teixeira, the champion at 43 years old, was it? The oldest champion to date. Crazy
Last
stuff,
year's been a year for it. Not even last year. This year so far has been the year for it, hasn't it? You've had the first mum take the belt. We've had the oldest man take the belt. What's next?
I know. But Glover,
I love first. Let's go for another first or something.
Yeah. Glover is 33-7 as a professional. Yep. On the other hand, Jiri Prochazka is 28-3 with 1 no contest, I believe that is. And look, in terms of the differences, oh man, the reach for Jiri's insane. You're 4 inches on Glover. Glover's almost like a T-Rex in a lot of respect.
Yeah, the same height, but the arms are significantly smaller.
And then you've got leg reach as well for Jiri.
I imagine Jiri does some barbaric, stretching apparatuses to sort of get his arm length that long. He just strikes me with kind of that sort of Anglo-Saxon Viking torture machine is how he trains.
Yes, man. I mean, he's got some mad ancestors, that's for sure.
He does. You ever seen The Northman?
No.
Oh, man. He's basically the same actor in that film. But, yeah, look, it's going to be... A lot of people we spoke to about this have just been afraid to think what's going to happen to Glover. But, how many people went in the same Jan Glover fight with the same outlook, with the same expectation, thinking that Glover, poor guy, is probably going to have a heart attack in there against someone like Jan. And, I was just so happy to see him prove everyone wrong. But although including me.
People count Glover out, man.
Yeah.
He's not.
And we've done it again. Have we not learned our lesson? No. Let's find out.
Go for it.
I got to go with my boy, Jiri Prochazka. I've voted with him all the way since he's joined the organization, since he came over from Ryzen. I used to watch him in Ryzen, so hoping he can get the win here. I do love Glover, though, and I wouldn't be upset if he defended the title either. Have a good one, boys.
Might as well start from the top. Who do you think is going to win a Glover Teixeira versus Jiri Prochazka?
I'm actually amped for... I see Prochazka just probably hurting him in the first round. Glover's tough. He'll find a way to survive. Probably finish him off in the second round.
Yeah, nicely put. Yeah, because it's crazy though, because obviously I thought Anthony Smith, obviously, because Anthony Smith when he fought Glover hurt him, and then the same with Santos when Santos Thiago Santos when he fought him, he hurt Glover, and then just Glover just found a way, and then the same with Belovic. Glover didn't hurt him as bad as the other two, but did crack him one. But Glover's just he's always in and around. He just somehow survives, but then. This is the thing for me. If Glover gets a takedown, we have not seen like Prochazka off his back, or we've not seen how his takedown defense is. But I think he'd be moving too much for Glover to catch him anyway. But I'm just thinking, imagine if Glover can get hold of him. Like
that's got to be a strategy, right? If he had a way to win, it would be on the ground. Would you imagine?
I'd imagine like Glover's probably looking at like, cool, I'm going to push him up against the cage and try to drag him down. If I can't drag him down, I'll beat him up against the cage until I can drag him down.
Yeah.
Just because I know how he's such a gritty like. old vet, know what I mean? So, and that's kind of that style. And I think that's the one area, like you were saying, that we haven't seen Procházka. So,
yeah, true.
Intriguing fight. Fight.
Yeah.
I think Glover loses that fight. Yeah. I think he probably gets TKO'd. Second, third round, maybe second.
What do you reckon is going to be the toughest thing Glover's going to have to look out for in that matchup? Is it going to be his wrestling, the striking, the power? How does Glover have a chance?
Yeah. Glover, I mean, obviously, he's got a chance. The dude's been around forever. He's got all those tricky things that he could pull out for sure, maybe a sub or something like crazy. But I think that this guy's going to have good power, and he's not going to, be used to that. And then he's going to be threatened by his wrestling, which is going to open up his hands. So I think it's going to be a combination of his power, his wrestling, and then his disguising his wrestling to land his strikes. So I think that he ends up getting finished, though.
What's the crack? Welcome back to the studio for another quick pick prediction video for Against the Fence. And today I'm going to break down the main event, Jiri Prochazka v Glover Teixeira. So I don't think you should overthink this one, guys. I mean, this is an easy win for Jiri Prochazka. However, I do watch a lot of the Against the Fence videos, and I love how the lads would have a co-host on, like JK would be on and he'd have Ash and Cy with him. I think it's a great format. So I thought I'd bring in a special guest for you today. I bring in my friend here, Donald. Donald, if you're ready there, you might just So this is Donald. Donald is a big MMA fan, and I'm just going to ask him today, Donald, what do you think the main event? What's your prediction, Donald? Glover Teixeira. So I don't know if you heard that, lads. His mic isn't great, but Donald there is picking Glover Teixeira. Now, I do have to be honest here with you. Actually, I've been tricking you because, look, no legs. Donald is actually a dummy. And if you pick Glover Teixeira to win this fight, then you're a dummy too.
You heard it there from the master himself. If you're picking Glover, you're also a dummy too, says Ben Lawrence.
That literally just brings joy to my heart. I can watch that all day. That's so funny. The guy's hilarious. Got his socials there as well. I advise if you do one thing today, hit up Ben Lawrence, like him, follow him on the socials because he's just a funny guy and everything he
great
says
day content.
Yeah, 100%. But we had some of the fighters in there chiming in too. So Ben Lawrence was up against was there with Damon Jackson, but also Vince Morales, and they also have gone with Glover Teixeira. So the question before we got over to there was, have we not learned our lesson? Have we counted them out again? It seemed like people have, they can't believe, like, they don't think lightning strikes twice. Let's put it that way. Yeah,
I mean, but then it could still be that for a while, with Glover. When is enough for Glover? That's the thing, I mean, if he loses this one, could he retire? Because he's done he's achieved his goal, becoming champion, and then what's the point in going back out there, really?
Yeah, that's it. And do you think it was a bit of his? Taking nothing away from the guy, right? He did an amazing job in his last outing to take the belt, but do you think there was a bit of complacency from Jan in that matchup? And do you think there could have potentially been that it could have gone the other way quite easily because he cracked him really well? And but then that's Glover's chin, isn't it? He can bounce back from adversity, like Ash was saying on one of those picks. The fact of the matter is, the guy overcomes. Yeah, and he's done it in his last few more fights before that as well. He also got cracked. Was it by Reyes?
Yeah, he can take a shot, man.
He can really take a shot. He can really take a shot.
He's been knocked out 3 times. Of course, Rumble. But look, Rumble's one of the hardest hitters we've ever seen in the light heavyweight division, to be honest. That's just listed one of the names. You've got Alexander Gustafsson as well. Again, was like second in the light heavyweight division for quite some time underneath John Jones. You could argue that if John Jones wasn't the champion of in that division, that Alexander Gustafsson would be champion. So he's been finished by some tough guys. But is Jiri going to be that guy?
I'm going to spin a narrative. I'm going to try to spin some heads as well. Now I hear you, Ben. I'm not necessarily saying I'm going for Teixeira because I don't want to be a dummy like Donald, but we got to hear this out. Knockouts at the top here. If you look at this number, 89% from Jiri, and you got 55% for Teixeira. So the power's with Jiri. Now, when we look at the chin of Glover, he's with stand power. He's taken power on the chin, and he's come forward and overcome it. So let's say that's all Jiri Prochazka has. Now look at the other ways the fight could end. The power doesn't quite get the job done. Teixeira keeps coming forwards. You got the submission ability there now as well. Jiri on the ground clearly can't hold his own. He doesn't do submissions. He's not very threatening. So Glover's quite safe down there on the ground, and he could probably threaten Jiri with a couple of submission attempts. We know he can. But let's get into the later rounds now. Fourth and fifth.
Well, we don't really know.
Does Prochazka have a gas tank?
Well, that's it. I mean,
it's an open season for Glover after third.
Glover has been 5 rounds before. That was against Anthony Smith, and he looked phenomenal in that fight as well. He took it late against Gustafsson as well. Went 5 rounds with Gustafsson until Gustafsson knocked him out in the 5th. Unbelievable durability, and he even withstand insane damage from Thiago Santos as well, and still got Santos out of there. Rear naked choke round 3. So, oh man, it's insane. It's hard to tell.
Is.
I think we should probably get into the
shall
gauges.
we have a look?
Yeah, because to be honest, striking is a lot closer than I think what you guys were probably thinking. Glover's got phenomenal boxing, man. He's got 18 knockouts on that resume of his as well. He's an all-round mixed martial artist.
How long ago?
He's got 10 submissions as well. His last TKO was against Anthony Smith, of course, and he knocked the teeth out of that guy.
Oh, remember that, yeah.
He's got insane hands on the feet. The difference is, for me, striking-wise, is the range of Jiri. I think that's where it becomes damaging.
Yeah.
We've seen Glover wasn't able to get in close with the likes of John Jones. John Jones picked him off at range. So Jiri's got to kind of do the same. Oh, man, to go with striking, I kind of want to go for Jiri because he's going to utilize his range. However, Jiri, again, got to be careful. He doesn't overcommit, because if he overcommits and Glover ducks underneath his strikes and manages to grab a hold of a body, he's going to go down. Grappling aspects, Glover all day. Black belt, numerous submission wins. Yeah, just an all-round crazy guy on the ground.
And then we can get to power. Power, I gotta go Prochazka on that one. Mainly because 89% of his wins have come via knockout. He's been a scary prospect coming up the ranks. But then you got speed as well. I think the illusion that's going to be created in this fight, because of the long limbs, is that Jiri's going to have the speed. And it could be an illusion. It could be the fact that he is generally the faster guy. But his hand's going to be traveling a greater distance. And then cardio.
Oof.
I think
I haven't seen
just had
Jiri. I haven't seen Jiri in the later rounds as much.
I mean, how many times?
I think
he's
gone
far?
In the later rounds in Ryzen. If I'm right, he's so good. Oh no, I don't think
Largely
he has. I thought he had
for years.
Yeah. Okay. So very hard to tell. So probably you'd have to give cardio for Glover.
Yeah, for the fact of the matter that he's just been in far more battles in the late rounds.
Yeah.
And if we had things on here like grit and heart, I'll go Glover on that all day. He's got that Brazilian heart to him, and it's just beautiful to see. That's how he's able to stand up after getting cracked to the ground with devastating strikes and power. But on the way those gauges look, it's size of Jiri, as most of the planet did and does. I'm interested to see what Ash does, because he's usually the one to go swim upstream, isn't he? But for the first time, my head's been spun a little bit just by looking at how undone potentially Jiri could come in the later rounds. That's very possible.
Yeah.
Teixeira can withstand power. We've known that. We've seen it. We're just going to have to hope that Jiri's powerful enough to get it done.
That's it. Isn't it? It's a wrap.
That wraps it up.
That wraps it up, man.
You guys have been great. Honestly, thanks for sticking through it with us. It's been so fun breaking down the fights to do. Thanks again for everyone who sent in your picks. We will be back this weekend with UFC Watch Along, watching the whole entire main card. JK, Ash and Ash is going to be up here in the hide, and we'll be breaking it down, giving it all full entertainment. The main thing is, guys, just don't watch these fights on your own. Join the family, join the fun. And we've got other things like the Discord channel too.
Yes, that's right. The Discord, it will be in the description as well. So if you want to join the community, click that Discord link, sign up, and come into a community full of passionate fans like yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And look, as always, you guys have been absolutely fantastic, absolutely great. Thanks again for joining us for the UFC People's Picks. And we'll see you next time ahead of the next UFC event. But for now, see you on Saturday.
Well, lads, what's the crack? I'm coming to you today from my studio here in Cork. I'm definitely not hiding in the store. I'm at work, using whatever I could find to make this video for Against the Fence. So I want to talk to you today about a fight that I think is going under the radar, and that is our very own J.K. Allen taking on Jacob Malkoun. Now, lads, a lot of people ask me, how do I pick my fights and how can I get so many right? I have a process, and I'm going to share my process with you today. So what I do is I write down the two fighters' names, like I did here, and I draw that little decision thing. See that? That means he's going to win by decision. So that's about the size of it. I can't share much more with you, lads. I don't want to be giving away how I do these things. J.K. Allen, Jacob Malkoun, decision win. Take that to the bank. That's it. Lads, how do I turn this off? Is that it? Next one. Is it off?